Yo, sometimes life calls for a change. Not fake, just different. It'll show you a different way. And right now, I'm on my different way. I can promise you this is the same Spann, but the reporting is over. I'd like to welcome you to the Mrs. Spann official podcast. Let's go.
Where today? Oh, what draws should I wear today? Should I wear my granny panties or should I wear a thong? What draws should I wear today? One more time. What draws should I wear today? Oh, what draws should I wear today? Wear my granny panties, or should I wear a thong? Again. Should I wear my granny panties, or should I wear a thong? Should I wear my granny panties, or should I wear a thong? What dress should I wear today?
Amen. Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen. Let me stop sharing.
What draws should I wear today?
Okay, ma'am, you gotta be quiet. You gotta be quiet. But what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mrs. Spann official podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 50. We are at episode number 50 around this motherfucker, man. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We got the 50 rather quickly compared to what the Spann Report podcast would have gotten there. And I credit the process, so to speak. I credit the process, man. Streamlining a lot of shit has really helped us kind of be a little bit more consistent than we used to be. But, not only that, I want to say thank you to all of you guys who take the time to listen and take the time to support. And, I felt like we were going to do something a little different today. I can always add the intro music and post-production, but man, I feel like, kind of coming in on some good spirits, man, on some good spirits. Cause this week been a motherfucker, man. This week has been a motherfucker. So we got that going on. But of course, before we get into everything we got to talk about, man, cause it's a lot. It's a lot. I got to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Mr. Spann official podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages, and of course, those messages will get read here. And played here and replied to here live here on the show. And also, if you're catching the show here live on YouTube and or Facebook, you can call into the show and chop it up with your man Spann while we're doing it. So that's area code 313-288-0485. Also, hit us up on our email at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails. And of course, those emails you can read here and reply to here live as well. Follow me on Threads and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead, follow me there, chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. But if you like if you're a Love After Lockup, kind of fan and shit, as I am, I do be on the Twitter, man, with the Love After Lockup shit, man. I can't find my people on Threads with the Love After Lockup, so I got to go back over to the old place, man, to go kind of find, y'all still over there, man. I need y'all to move, but because y'all ain't moving, I'll come back so I can find my people for the Love After Lockup over on the Twitter spaces, right? But follow me mostly on Threads and Instagram, Mr._Spann. Also, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Spotify. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get right here live in the show. We really appreciate everybody who does that. Doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety, all right? Also, if you want some merch, man, we got t-shirts, we got coffee mugs, we got mouse pads, we got some stuff, man. We got stickers and stuff over at our store. The link will be down in the show notes, man. We appreciate those of you who will support us in that way, man. Go ahead, rock your gear, man. Take some pictures in the gear, man. Let folks know that you rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety. We really do appreciate everybody who does that. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, man, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us comments on the YouTube channel. Rate the videos on the YouTube channel, man. We really appreciate that. It helps the show grow. It doesn't cost you nothing, and it's just another way for you to put down on what we got going on here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. But man, I hope that everybody's week has been good and restful or productive and prosperous. It's been some crazy stuff going on throughout the week, man. You got the Olympics going on, man. Politics is like heavy in the world right now. You've got just like normal, like everyday kind of crazy shit on the shenanigans with the social media and everything else, right? So we got that going on, but it hasn't been a whole lot going on with your boy. It hasn't really. I mean, outside of work, man, I don't really have a whole lot to tell y'all, man. Oh yeah, my AC went out. I had my AC out, man. Yeah, the last time I saw y'all, man, I was in this motherfucking room bacon, nigga. I was in here like a rotisserie chicken up in this bitch, man. It was bad, man. It was real bad. And this is, like I said, shout out to the joys of home ownership or whatever. Before my water heater went out, and I had to, I knew how to kind of like work around it. Once I figured out what the problem was, I could kind of like, because I work with gas appliances and stuff like that, I kind of figured out how I can do that myself. But the AC, I'm not an HVAC guy. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, I got an HVAC guy on deck, though. Shout out to my man Henry, man. My boy came through, told me what the problem was. And like the capacitor on my AC had went out. And I'm like, oh, shit, And I had read up on like how often like, HVAC people be like kind of hustling folks, man. Like, it's only like a $15 part. But the HVAC people be like, yo, man, we want $400 on this repair. You know what I'm saying? And it don't even take them that much to fix, right? So once my mans came over, he told me what the problem was. I copped the part off Amazon. I was surprised I was able to get the shit on Amazon for $13. So I bought like 4 of them bitches, right? Because I saw like when they were talking about capacitors, they were saying that the capacitor, like if you got like a heat wave or something like that, oftentimes the capacitor is like one of the first things to go on your AC units. I'm like, okay, so if that happens again, boom, I got some on deck. And I watched him put that bitch in, so now I know how to put that bitch in myself. I mean, I want my boy to have work, but at the same time, I want to be able to like take care of things in my home and not have to call nobody if I really ain't got to, right? So he came over, he put the thing in for me, and man, I'm gonna tell you this right now, man. When that AC really started kicking in, man, I ain't never felt so happy, man. I never felt so motherfucking appreciative of AC. It's been miserable at my house, bruh. I mean, when I say miserable, I've been sleeping in my bed almost naked on top of the covers, man. It's been bad. It's been bad. I don't really sleep like that. Like, it's been bad. So to the point where like, when you go in the shower, a lot of times I was taking showers just to cool off, bruh. Real time, taking showers just to cool off. It's like, yo, man, I'm taking the shower and then like not even 10 minutes out of the shower, I'm drying off. And then after I dry it off, yo, fucking sweat is beating up my head, bro. And I ain't even got no hair up here. So it's like, it's easy for me to see it. It's like, it ain't even the wetness of the shower no more. It's just, nigga, you hot. That's how bad it had been over here. So, yeah, I mean, not like I said, not a whole lot going on, but I am grateful to now be sitting here in the comfort of 67 degrees in my home, man, and it feels good, man. It feels really good, man. But like I said, we got some things to kind of get into. We're gonna talk about, and let's just get into the show, man. Let's get into like what we got going on, man. So I was perusing the social media streets, man, and I found this story that I thought was actually kind of crazy, man. I really never thought we would come to this, but apparently we have, man. But our cars could be really out here snitching on us. They could really just be like, nigga, did you know that Yeah, like the cars out here telling on this, man. So we get the story here. This comes out of Newsweek. Said your cars could be spying on your speeding. Said Ford, one of the world's largest U.S.-based automakers, is trying to patent a new invention that would allow its cars to monitor the speed of other vehicles and report traffic violations to the police.
Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
Damn.
Enough! Boy, I've been sick to my fucking stomach watching you imbeciles type things. Stop typing. You niggas are stupid.
That really wasn't the one I was looking for. It was this one.
Nigga!
Yeah. But yeah, so it says a technology that could revolutionize speed surveillance on the road. A patent application published by the Patent and Trademark Office on July 18th and originally filed by Ford. The document says that cars would monitor nearby vehicles on the road using onboard cameras and photograph them if they're going above the speed limit. The photographs, together with the report containing the speed data, the time, and the geographic location of the suspected violation, would then be sent to a police car or roadside monitoring units via an internet connection, according to Ford's plans. Newsweek reached out by email to Ford's media team for further comment. Stationary speed cameras are already in use along American roads, which can take photos of a license plate of a speeding vehicle, but police officers cannot confirm who was driving that car. Officers use a radar or laser gun on the other hand, still have to ask a speeding driver to pull over to identify the person and issue a ticket. Ford's invention, according to the patent, would not require police officers to do so and will release them of the added burden of identifying speeding drivers in court if they contest, the traffic citation. Now, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. And what I would wonder is, like, how many people would be buying a car where they knew that their car would be actually the roads, like the road snitch, right? Like, this sounds like a very like bad way to not sell cars. Right now, I know that there's like there are times, man, when I'm in, when I'm driving and you see people driving a little bit erratic, or they're driving hella aggressive or whatever, like they're speeding, they weave it in and out of the lanes and shit, and then when you see them get pulled over ahead of the road, when you finally catch up to them and they pulled over, I know a lot of us find a little satisfaction in that, like, yeah, that motherfucker was driving crazy, but none of us are out here like, yo, man, actively want our cars to snitch on these motherfuckers, man. I don't know anybody who really wants their cars to do that. Also, if say for instance, you driving in a 40 mile per hour speed limit area, and like you doing 45, right, and a car goes past you and they doing 55. Is your car gonna be snitching on the person doing 55 even though both of you motherfuckers is speeding? Like, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? Is it gonna be telling on you? You know what I'm saying? The fact that your ass consistently drive over the speed limit, the fact that you blew through that red light, the fact that you blew through that stop sign, is your car gonna snitch on you as well, or is it just snitching around the people around you? And then it becomes a thing where, like, so now this, when people figure out that Ford cars are telling on everybody, when people get around the Ford car, do everybody slow down? Because I don't want this car taking pictures of my car doing some shit. Like, how does that work, man? How does that work? So, I just think the fact that, like, we already live in a highly surveilled time, right? Like, you can't walk out of the house without there being a camera somewhere around you, whether it be somebody's phone. I know my car right now has at least 6 cameras on the outside of it, not counting the camera on the inside of it for the fam cam, right? So I could watch people in the back seats doing what, like, I ain't got 6 motherfuckers riding with me, but I got 6 seats in the back. You know what I'm saying? And so I can kind of watch what's going on in the seats behind me. So there's like 7 cameras on my car right now. But, like, I don't know if I really want my car snitching or diming out nobody's for them to get tickets and shit. Cause I mean, that's crazy, man. But Ford is out here. This is why I ain't buying no fucking Ford vehicles, man. Although I did have 2 Ford cars and they did your boy good. But if you're gonna be doing Ford, like, if y'all out here like this, man, y'all out here wrong, bruh. Y'all out here wrong. Y'all out here selling motherfucking snitching devices. Ford's invention, according to the patent, would not require police officers to do so and release them of the added burden. Okay, I read that already. The images taken by the cars, according to the automaker, would be high quality enough to allow officers to identify both the speeding car's license plate and its driver, and they also would serve as evidence of the traffic violation. Now, here's another thing, too. Here's what I think, right? Here's what I think. Here's what's going to happen. What I think... This is just me speculating. What I think is that Ford already has what seemingly is a large contract with law enforcement as it is, right? If you go to Chicago, I know here in the Detroit area, you see a lot of Ford Explorers as police cars now. And even it's gotten to a point now where, like, if I see a Ford Explorer, I already assume that you the police. Like, even if you just driving a civilian Ford Explorer, you now drive a cop car. Like, I just kind of assume that you are in a cop car, that you the cops, and, you know, like, I just, you know, govern myself accordingly after that. I'm wondering, though, how much of this is just essentially a thing where even if the police are driving in these vehicles, where they don't even have to issue the ticket, the car issues the ticket, and then you go to court behind that, right? But I'm wondering what the legalities around that would be, because I can remember a time in Chicago where like the red light cameras that they have in Chicago, they were throwing a lot of those cases out because, you know, you can't really prove who's driving the car when the car was going through the red light. I got a ticket in the mail about a month after I left Chicago once because my car had did a red turn doing a red light. Like, you know, it was like no turn on red or something like that. They didn't have a picture of me. They just had a picture of my car going through the red light. I could have given my car to anybody. Now, it was me. It was me. But I'm just saying, I could have given my car to anybody, let somebody use my ride, and then they did this thing, and now I'm getting a ticket for $100 for going through a red light, and I wasn't even the one driving, right? So I'm just kind of wondering, like, yo, does Ford really want to be known as the car manufacturer out here snitching on everybody for, you know, traffic violations? I don't know if they really want that, man. I don't know if they want to be known for shit like that. So, yeah, man, I thought that was interesting, and we got that going on, man. Real talk. That's crazy. That is crazy. Now, another thing that I was thinking about that's kind of crazy, man. You know, we all use our cell phones quite a bit, man. We use our phones a lot. Like, I use my phone for practically everything. I'm using my phone when I'm, you know, traveling, and I need to, like, know where I'm going from A to B. I use my phone for banking. I use my phone to pay bills. I use my phone to, like, for entertainment when I'm watching, you know, TV or movies. Like, and I got one of these, like, these little fancy folding phones too, right? So my phone, like, I gotta, like, you know, I could do a whole lot with my shit. I could do, like, trading, all sorts of stuff with this phone, right? This phone here in particular is quite heavy though. So what I do is I got this little thing here, boom. So I don't get the little I don't have to support it with my pinky. If y'all can see that, I don't have to really support it with my pinky like that. I could just kind of hold, you know, with the loop right there. Works out good, right? The reason why I bring that up is because apparently people are getting injured by their goddamn phones, man. And we get this story here from fox2detroit.com. Now, I wonder, let's see if Fox 2 Detroit has a video attached to this story. Yes, they do. So because they have a video, let me go ahead and pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your mans. Hold on just a second while I pull this up so we can watch this shit together, y'all. Hold on a second while I do this here. And let's do that there. And let's see what they're talking about.
And how it works, if this is your phone and this is you looking down on it, is that doing a little bit of damage, giving you some aches and pains? Probably, but you can fix it.
Unfortunately, there's no shortage of videos like this. A guy on his cell phone, distracted, stumbles over the edge of the platform, falling into the train tracks in Argentina. He was quickly rescued. He's fine. That's one kind of cell phone related risk. But
what's fucked up though is that my man already had like a boot on one leg, so like, he was already fucked up, but he wasn't paying attention to shit. So he felt that was fucked up.
There are other ways you can get injured by simply using your phone. From smartphone pinky to tech neck, sports medicine Dr. Dominic King says no one is immune to these types of injuries.
It doesn't take too long for your muscles, your joints, your ligaments to get stretched and to be put in that position where they get strained. So even just some mild use every single day can open up patients to getting some of these symptoms.
Dr. King explains people can develop smartphone pinky by constantly using it to steady their phone. The weight of the device on your pinky can compress a nerve, causing numbness and tingling, or it can leave a small indentation in the finger. You can also experience something dubbed.
And I've had that indentation. I've had, especially with like I said, with this motherfucker here, like I love this phone, but it's heavy. And like trying to like use it, like trying to stabilize using this phone on the pinky, nah, it wasn't working no more. That's why I love this little wallet thingy I got on here now with the little loop thingy. Clutch, man.
Does tech neck. That's if you scroll for too long when looking down at your phone and you strain your neck, potentially leading to muscle pain and spasms. The doctor says there are all kinds of additional injuries that can be linked to using smartphones and other technology. The key to avoiding them is to remember to take a break.
Every 20 minutes, you should take 20 seconds to look at something that is 20 feet away. What that does is it brings your eye.
Yeah, man, ain't nobody about to remember all that. Ain't nobody about to remember all that. he doing a whole lot right now, but ain't nobody gonna remember that. We probably not gonna even remember the story after we get finished talking about it. Ain't nobody gonna remember that, G.
Eyes up to the horizon. It brings your neck back. It brings your shoulders back, and it gives you a little bit of break from your technology.
So here's the thing, you have to figure out how to hold your phone the right way. This is going to look a little funny, but remember, the best way to look at your phone is at eye level. So that means you're holding it up high, but that's not necessarily good for your shoulders.
And that's not about to happen
either. So figure out a way to brace it in a way where you can be looking straight ahead and not bending that neck down. The more you bend your neck down at any angle, the more strain it puts on these muscles. That's HealthWorks. I'm Dina Santafanti.
Okay, Dina, we appreciate the story, but ain't nobody about to do all that. Ain't nobody about to do that, baby. But nah, man, it's weird though. Like I'm of the age, man, where like I remember having logging thousands of hours on my Nintendo, right? And I remember we didn't have pro controllers and shit when I was a kid, man. There was no such thing as a pro controller when I was a kid. Like if you were playing Nintendo, and you had that regular ass controller that came with the Nintendo, and we had what we would call Nintendo Thumb, man. And that Nintendo Thumb came from you logging hours on your game and that directional pad. It was mostly for the left thumb, man, from the directional pad and really getting into it, man. If you were having a heavy session when you was playing Contra, or if you was playing fucking I don't know, fucking Tecmo Bowl or some shit like that, man. You were really rubbing your fucking thumb raw, bro. It was kids. I remember kids coming to school with Band-Aids on their thumb, nigga, because they was playing Nintendo all night, and that didn't stop us from playing the motherfucking Nintendo. Right? So I think at a certain point, man, even as much as we are using these devices and stuff, we're not using them as intensively as Nintendo Thumb. But I just think that when they suggested hey, hold your phone out at eye level and shit, if you just man, people just ain't gonna do that, man. It's not gonna happen. But yeah, man, our usage of these phones is actually kind of fucking us up a little bit, and we just gonna find ways to adjust, man. That's just what it's gonna be. Real talk. Now, another story that we have. Hold on, let me see. Let me take this down. I didn't realize I put this up here twice. But another story that we have here, man, which is part of the reason why I named this episode jumping out of the National Jumping Out of the Window Week, man. So apparently there's this receipt of someone who's supposedly on food stamps who used an EBT card, and their EBT account had over $13,000 in food stamp assistance and over $4,000 in cash assistance for them. So I'm gonna pull this up, man, because I need y'all to see I need y'all to see this receipt, and then we're gonna discuss a little bit further. But hold on just a second while I do this here. Wait, I gotta stop sharing that. Okay, so let's stop sharing that. And then, all right. Okay, Spann. There we go. All right, here we go, y'all. Let me put this up on here. But we get this here on Twitter, and someone right now, this person here is Bruce Snyder. This pic is going viral today, and it shows a receipt dated for July 31st, 2024. The person who posted this says a Venezuelan woman left behind her receipt at the grocery store, and her friend picked it up. It says the EBT food stamp balance is $13,401.82, and the EBT cash balance is $4,498.85. I cannot confirm this to be legit, but after examining the pic, which doesn't look altered, and the stories I research every day, this may very well be real. The link to the original post is the first comment below, right? So now, here's the thing. I first saw this picture. Let me see if I can enlarge it for you guys. Doesn't look like I can make it much bigger than it is right there. But here's the thing, right? So I first saw this picture on Facebook. A couple friends of mine shared this, and it was one of those. I'm sorry. Let me hide that. Not yet, fam. But it was one of those things where I saw this being shared on Facebook a couple times, and oftentimes Facebook is like one of the last places where, you know, shit goes to like people on Facebook are like the last to know shit. Like, so it's like Twitter used to be, it probably still is a place where, you know, shit has been talked about a little bit, and then it finally migrates over to Facebook, and then the Facebook people finally get a chance to talk about the shit, right? But one of the things I thought was very interesting about this story was that, one, they were able to nail down the nationality of the person who used said food stamp card, right? Who used the EBT card. They were able to ascertain this person's nationality. The second thing was they were able to that's actually the only thing. That's actually the only thing. So here's the thing, right? I saw this, and it wasn't even so much because like this here is talking about I've seen this about is someone in New York, and the people that I saw posting this was like, yo, this is happening in Chicago. And so off top, we don't even know which store this happened in, but they were adamant about this person being of Venezuelan descent. And I'm trying to figure out, how often are y'all in the grocery stores like chatting up the migrants to figure out where they at? Like, where y'all doing that at?
Niggas.
Where y'all doing that at? Like, where y'all are chatting these people up in the aisle or in the checkout? Like, I'm not necessarily saying that's not happening. I'm just skeptical that that's what's happening, right? So I'm skeptical of the idea that the person whom had this card was Venezuelan. The other part that I'm skeptical of is the amount of food stamp assistance and the amount of cash assistance, right? Now, what I do know is this, especially like as I talk to some of my people back home in Chicago, especially considering how Governor Kemp and not Governor Kemp, but what's the dude? Abbott, Governor Abbott in Texas has been sending a bunch of migrants to other cities, like Chicago, like New York and everything else, to try to make this a more political thing. And I to say that we got too many people coming and we need to send these people out elsewhere because these other places have said they're sanctuary cities, so y'all can have them, right? And so they send these migrants up to these other cities, oftentimes under false pretenses. A lot of times these migrants don't know where they're being sent. They don't understand why they're being sent over here. They're being sent telling them one thing when something else is happening, and so you got that going on. And so, like, one of the things I thought was interesting, I was having a conversation, or not even so much a conversation, but a back and forth with a friend of a friend, right? Because a friend of mine on Facebook was kind of talking, he broached the topic, and there were people in there like, well, I know some people in the city of Chicago, and I know some people in DHS, and you would be amazed at how much is being given to these migrants and everything else. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. That's an anecdotal story that we have no way to verify. Just like this person and this receipt is a story that we have no way of verifying. First things first, I'm skeptical of the amount that's available to this person for EBT assistance and cash assistance. I'm skeptical of that. Right? I'm skeptical of that. Second of all, I'm skeptical of the fact that y'all are adamant about this person being of Venezuelan descent, right? Why are we picking up Venezuelan? Why is it Venezuelan? And I as I had this back and forth with this person on Facebook, they said, well, 90% of the people who are coming to Chicago are Venezuelan. Okay. How do you verify that? Where's your documentation of that? Because the migrants who are coming from Central and South America aren't just coming from Venezuela. So the fact that you think that 90% of them are Venezuelan, how about the Guatemalans? How about the Hondurans? Right? How about the El Salvadorians? But 90% of them are all coming they're migrating from South America. They're walking from South America, and they ended up in Chicago after they walked all the way from South America to Texas. Right? Make it make sense. 90% of the migrants are from South America, and they're walking to Texas. and getting and being shipped over to Chicago, and Chicago or the state of Illinois is giving them $13,401 in food stamp assistance, $4,498 of cash assistance. Make it make sense. Now, one of the reasons why I'm already skeptical, because like these numbers are astronomical, but I also understand why something like this can trigger folk. Why something like this can trigger people. And especially in an election year, why something like this can trigger people. You have it like we're dealing in a time where, inflation has been a thing. And, not enough people really want to discuss how, those STEMI checks that people were getting, and some of those PPP loans that, were being forgiven, and some were being received under false pretenses, how the infusion of cash into the economy actually devalued the dollar and spurred inflation. And so because your money is worth less because there's so much more of it out in the world, that spurs inflation. We don't talk about that, but that becomes a thing. And then we also don't, what's happening is there are so many people who are resentful because they're having a harder time making it. If they perceive that anyone else is receiving any sort of assistance that they themselves are not getting, they're resentful of that. Especially if they think that those people are not entitled to that assistance, right? So now, if you already got built-in resentment, if you already got a frustrated populace, it makes it very much easy. It makes it very easy for somebody to post a picture and say, hey, there's this Venezuelan lady in the grocery store and she got $13,000 in food stamps and $5,000 of cash assistance. Meanwhile, they ain't giving you a motherfucking thing. And now that builds, and now in an election year, now that becomes a talking point for you going forward when you decide, hey, this is who I'm voting for, who I'm not voting for. Never mind that the validity of this particular receipt could be in question. But what they've already done is that they've played off of your frustration, and they've played off of your xenophobia, and they've played off of your resentment to get a certain reaction and a certain result. That's what they've done, essentially. Right? I'm trying to figure out like why folks didn't just like, hey man, how we know she Venezuelan? Right? Hey, my friend picked up this receipt of a Venezuelan woman. How did y'all know where she was from? And did they chat it up? Did they have like a long ass discussion in the grocery store about where she was from? And she told him about her migrant journey and everything else. Is that what happened? Y'all didn't ask any more questions other than the fact that like, yo, this Venezuelan woman had this much money in her food stamps and everything else. Now, later on, it's been found out, of course, that this particular receipt had been digitally altered. And this is another thing that we, this is something that we need to be mindful of, especially in the age of AI, that we need to be mindful of. Like, yo, not only just AI, but Photoshop shit. People can alter things on the internet all the time and generate a story on things all the time. And not only that, because everything is being geared towards monetization, where like Elon Musk wants to pay you money if you can go viral on certain things. Even on Threads, they're talking about paying people money if they can go viral on certain things. Everybody's trying to get paid off their social media. Everyone wants to be an influencer now. So if I can create a story, that can go viral, whether it's true or not, so long as I get paid, that's the end result. I don't give a shit. And you got a lot of unscrupulous folks out here who don't give a shit whether or not they're putting the truth out or not. They got paid though. Right? But like, I saw way too many folks that I know and I thought they were smart that were jumping out of the window on this shit, and they were just...
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. No wonder you get D's and everything.
All I'm saying is They would disappoint your boy real hard, man. They would disappoint your boy out here real hard. But yeah, man, I need us to be more vigilant. I need us to be more vigilant about some of the things that we're coming across on our social media feeds, man, and not so much just give into, hey, I saw this, my friend posted this, and I need, like, I said this on social media before, and I think it bears repeating, and that not only just because it's an election year, but just like because of like what we've been seeing in years prior, that this year we're going to find out how many of our friends and relatives are social media and media savvy and those who aren't. Right? Those who aren't. How quickly they pick up and how quickly they pick up and believe on some of these stories without giving them any vetting, without reading past the headline, without reading the article, all of that. We're going to find out so much more about who our people are. So I need us to be vigilant on that. But this particular infamous Venezuelan migrant EBT receipt, man, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. The shit ain't real, man. It is not fucking real. And I need y'all to like really be a little bit more scrupulous. I need some folks, and that's not to say that like those of you who listen to the Spann Report podcast network and the Mr. Spann official podcast in particular aren't, you know, savvy enough to pick this up. But hey, man, some of our people ain't. Some of our people ain't. So I need us to be vigilant. Not only that, be willing to call our people out when they post this shit. Like, hey, man, take this shit down. That ain't real. Real talk. Take this shit down. But we got a comment here in the chat room. My man GS28 writes in. He says, you were all in if you had the NES Advantage controller with the turbo. My nigga, if you had that shit, nigga. See, that was a cheat code in and of itself, bro. We ain't let you play with that shit. You come to the session, if you came to the video game session, because, you know, it was like before online gaming, bro. You wasn't like, you know, there was no online gaming. You had to go to somebody's house, right? You had to go to their crib. So if you pulled up with one of those specialized controllers, like doing the Tecmo Bowl session, nigga, wasn't nobody even letting you play with that, brother. Like, hey, man, you got to put that shit up, bro. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. So yeah, man, you got that going on. But I love that the joystick one they had with the buttons and shit. Kind of put me in the mind of like the Street Fighter controller that they had back in the day, man. I used to love that motherfucker, man. Real talk. I used to play Top Gun with that shit. That was my game. But yeah, man, got that going on. Let's see what else we got, man. What else we got here? Oh yeah. So how many of y'all got kids who go to school at like a private school or like a charter school and they had to pay tuition? I know my daughter went to a charter school here. We didn't have to pay tuition for her to go when she was when she was a school age. But apparently, the school voucher program in Arizona them blew a hole in their whole ass budget, man. Yeah, let me pull this story up. Oh, I got a lot of tabs up here. Jesus Christ, man, you got a lot going on. But yeah, man, so we get this story here. This comes from ProPublica. ProPublica writes that in 2022, Arizona pioneered the largest school voucher program in the history of education. Under a new law, any parent in the state, no matter how affluent, could get a taxpayer-funded voucher worth up to tens of thousands of dollars to spend on private school tuition, extracurricular programs, or homeschooling supplies. In just the past 2 years, nearly a dozen states have enacted sweeping voucher programs similar to Arizona's Empowerment Scholarship System, with many using it as a model. Yet, in a lesson for these other states, Arizona's voucher experiment has since precipitated a budget meltdown. The state this year faced a $1.4 billion budget shortfall, much of which was a result of the new voucher spending. According to the Grand Canyon Institute, a local nonpartisan fiscal and economic policy think tank, last fiscal year alone, the price tag of universal vouchers in Arizona skyrocketed from an original official estimate of just under $65 million to roughly $332 million. The Grand Canyon analysis found another $429 million in costs is expected this year. As a result of all this unexpected spending, alongside some recent revenue losses, Arizona is now having to make deep cuts to a wide swath of critical state programs and projects, the pain of which will be felt by average Arizonans who may or may not have local school-age children. Among the funding slash, $333 million for water infrastructure projects in a state where water scarcity will shape the future, and tens of millions of dollars for highway expansions and repairs in congested areas of one of the nation's fastest growing metropolises, Phoenix, and its suburbs. Also next were improvements to the air conditioning in state prisons where temperatures can soar above 100 degrees. Arizona's community colleges, too, are seeing their budgets cut by $54 million. Still, Arizona-style universal school voucher programs available to all, including the wealthiest parents, continue to sweep the nation from Florida to Utah. Now, one of the things I think is very interesting about the whole deal about school voucher programs, right? And I know that, like, by and large, there is a bit of a bipartisan support for voucher programs in order to get kids into better performing schools, schools where schools that have resources, right? Oftentimes what we're finding out, especially in a lot of urban areas around the country, because of the reduced tax base, because so many folks in the area may or may not own their home and they're renting their home and they're not paying taxes into the school district. And because they're not paying taxes into the school district has to pull back on resources, whether it be sports programs, whether it be arts programs, whether it be closing schools altogether and consolidating schools. One of the things that Republicans have been really touting has been voucher programs where the state will pay for these kids to go to schools no matter what district and everything else, right? And it sounds like a good idea, like, oh, so this school isn't performing, you can send your kid to this school and we'll pay for it, right? Sounds good. But what happens is this: it is a end around to something that the Republicans are already trying to do. And if you're familiar with what Project 2025 is about, is that they're trying to eradicate public education altogether, right? We already know that Project 2025 wants to eliminate, they want to eliminate the Department of Education.
I'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
All right, so you already know they want to eliminate the Department of Education. And if they can take monies that would normally be going towards the public school and funnel that money into private institutions, we have now defunded education in the United States of America. We've defunded public education in the United States of America. And so Arizona was one of those states where, and again, Arizona for a long time has been republicly controlled by Republicans in the legislature and in the government. It's been only up until recently where we start seeing a change in the legislature there, where they now have a Democratic governor. They now have a Democratic senator. I believe they have one Democratic senator. I think the other one may be Republican. And we saw how they barely went toward Joe Biden in the 2020 election, right? But Arizona has largely been a Republican state. And so what we're seeing now is because they've taken so many monies out of the public school system, and so many people are not eligible for assistance, even wealthy folk, right? So think about this for a second. You would take public monies and funnel that towards a private school, and even wealthy people who could afford to actually send their kids to those private schools also qualify for those vouchers. Not the people who would actually need the monies to be able to send their kids to those schools, but also the people who have the money to be able to send their kids to those schools. They wouldn't have to pay anything. They just send their kids to those schools on the state's dime. Meanwhile, they'll come to you and talk about welfare, like those who don't have as much as those who have means. They'll come to you and shame you about welfare while they send their kids to school, to a private school on the state's dime. Right? It's like it's one of those things where they touted this as a model for other states to follow, but meanwhile, the state now doesn't have the monies to address maybe possible water droughts in the area. Again, Phoenix is one of those cities that's built in the desert, sort of like Las Vegas. It really like it's amazing that these cities exist. Right? Like cities like Las Vegas, cities like Phoenix, Arizona, like they built these cities in the desert. It's amazing that they exist. And so now the state doesn't have the monies that they would have had normally to address how we going to keep water, potable water, usable water for our citizens in the state, because we've spent so much money towards private education as opposed to us spending the money for this particular program. Now, I know a lot of people ain't going to necessarily care about the prisoners, unfortunately, right? They're not going to care about the prisoners. But yeah, like I just talked to y'all how miserable it was in my house to not have AC. And I don't live in Arizona. I live in Michigan. It was hot as fuck at my house. I can't imagine what it would be like being in prison in Arizona with no fucking AC. We just saw what was happening in Texas after that last hurricane that was in Texas. And it took them so long to get the grid back up, where people were dying in Texas because of heat exhaustion, heat exertion, and everything else, because they couldn't get the grid back up in time. Right? They can't even, so like to see that Republicans are in a way of that. Like now they can't service that. But the community colleges, now you're dealing with education on a whole other level. All because of Republicans' intent on taking monies out of the public education system and funneling that money towards private institutions. I need us to be aware, man. That's it. That's all. I just need us to be aware. That's the reason why I brought that up. But yeah, man. I know, like, I am not an opponent of school choice. I'll say that. Like, if you can get your kid into a school that is better performing than the school that they're in, and you want them to have the best education possible, by all means do so. However, I do think there's something to be said about the fact that there are people of means who have the money and the ability to send their kids to those schools through their own pockets and get this coming to the state in order to get those monies. Meanwhile, poor people are being shamed for the very fucking same thing. And they don't have the means. And they do want the leg up. They do need they do need the help in order to get their kids in some of these situations where they can advance and they can get the education required for them to be productive citizens in the United States going forward, man. So yeah, man, I just thought that this is something that needs to be highlighted, man. They lost, they blew a budget hole of nearly how much is this? $54 million. Yeah, they cut the budget of Arizona, just the community colleges, of $54 million. So yeah, this is crazy, but it's what's going on. It's what's going on, right? So we got that going on. Now, another story that we got going on. Oh man, NABJ, man. What the fuck was y'all thinking about, man? What the fuck was y'all thinking about? So the National Association of Black Journalists decided to have Donald Trump at their convention this year. Their convention is being held in my hometown of Chicago, Illinois. And man, it went from it just from the very motherfucking beginning. It was just
makes me sick, motherfucker. How far we done fell.
Yeah, man. Motherfuckers was hot. People was hot about Donald Trump showing up at NABJ. Now, the reason why I think it was interesting that Donald Trump showed up at NABJ partially was because they had invited this motherfucker to NABJ for the last 5 years at least. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2020. Like, they had been inviting this motherfucker and he just always refused to go. And so the fact that he decided to show up this year, I think was a surprise to many, because I think NABJ, I think I heard somewhere where they announced that he would be showing up at the convention 2 days before everybody was supposed to show up at NABJ, right? So a lot of folks were surprised that he would even be there. Some folks, when they heard that he would be there, they pulled out. Like people who would be panelists on certain panels at the NABJ convention decided they in a form of protest that they did not want to be a part of this year's convention. And so a lot has been made as to whether or not NABJ should have even decided to invite him, right? So I will say this: I'm not a member of NABJ or anything like that. So take my word with a grain of salt. I'm not necessarily upset that they invited Donald Trump, and y'all know how I feel about Donald Trump. I'm not necessarily upset that they invited Donald Trump. What I am upset with is how they treated Kamala Harris and her trying to make accommodations to be a part of NABJ's convention, and them being, reticent to accommodate her in the ways in which she could be a part of the convention, right? That's the thing that upsets me, is that they did not make any sort of concessions for her in order for her to be a part of this. Especially in an election year, and considering the type of organization that many of us perceive NABJ to be, because it's a journalist organization. Not to say that I'm all about that both sides shit, because y'all know how oftentimes there's that both sides shit doesn't really play, but I thought it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity for the journalists of NABJ to ask Donald Trump the hard questions, right? So, we're used to this dude going to, we're used to Donald Trump going to the friendly confines of places like Fox News, the friendly confines of places like Newsmax, the friendly confines of places like OAN, right? Like, these are the places where Donald Trump typically goes to talk his shit, and he's never really challenged on anything he says and everything else, right? So I felt as though this was an opportunity for those people over at NABJ, especially some of the journalists over there, to question this motherfucker and really hold his feet to the fire. And unfortunately, he turned that into, it was a goddamn shit show, man. It was a goddamn shit show.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn! God damn! What? Fuck!
All right, so check this out. I am going to pull up the first question that he was asked at this NABJ convention, and we're gonna kind of analyze what the fuck was going on. We're gonna analyze what the fuck was going on here. So let me do this. Let me pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. Hold on just a second here. All right, and all right. So here we go. Check this out, y'all.
People did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used
That's fact.
words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys.
That's fact.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist.
That's a fact.
You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort.
That's a fact.
So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Fair question. After laying out all these factual things that this motherfucker has done and we've seen him do, fair question to ask.
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit.
I think it's disgraceful that you're not answering her question. And the question was, why should black people trust you right now to give you their vote? All right? After all these things that you said, and he comes right off the bat insulting a woman just for asking him a very fair question, considering what we've seen of him over the last 8 years.
I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Shout out to the coons in the back. We hear y'all clapping.
Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke.
And he was going to break them even more. We know that he was in his presidential budget, he was planning to zero out all of the federal funding for HBCUs, and it was Congresswoman Alma Adams who actually made sure that they put that shit back into the budget so that HBCUs could get more funding. And we know that the Biden-Harris administration has funded the HBCUs even more. So I think it was up to $16 billion or something like that. I got to fact check that. So So if anybody in the chat room can like get that number for me right off top, because I'm talking extemporaneously. I think it's 16 billion. However, we do know that Donald Trump did not save HBCUs in much of the ways he's been talking about. He saved HBCUs. Donald Trump initially wanted to zero out funding for HBCUs when he was president of the United States.
And I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. Hold
on, let me real quick. I'm gonna pull this comment up here from Latoya. Latoya says that I'd agree with you if he didn't have the Fox correspondent there, and if it wasn't just a panel of women to interview him, let Roland or Don Lemon to speak to him to face to face. He used NABJ to dance on our faces. Okay, so first things first, Latoya, I agree too. I think that someone like a Roland Martin should have been on that panel. I also believe that Harris Faulkner should not have been on that panel for the specific reason that Harris Faulkner isn't even a member of NABJ. So because Harris Faulkner wasn't even a member of NABJ, she had absolutely no business even being a part of that particular thing. I'm shocked that they would, the National Association of Black Journalists would allow her a place there. I'm wondering how much the Trump campaign lobbied for her to be there. But I agree with you. I do agree that there should have been someone like a Roland Martin. I'm not necessarily sure about Don Lemon. I don't know. I ain't sure about Don Lemon, but I do think someone like a Roland Martin would have been able to hold his feet to the fire and fact check him in real time. And that was, we found out later that one of the reasons why, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to play the video. We're going to talk some more.
I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And
so here's the other part, right, that I think is interesting, why he's talking about my opponent isn't here. Y'all invited me under false pretense. Dude, you are trying right now to weasel out of a debate that was going to be hosted by ABC News against Kamala Harris. You are already trying to weasel out of that so that you can get a crowd and so that you can get a favorable network in Fox News, right? So, off top, he's lying right there, off top.
And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming.
And that's another thing. Kamala Harris wanted to be able to try to accommodate the NABJ with Zoom because she already had prior commitments. She was going to be speaking at the funeral of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. She already had, I believe, a speaking commitment with the sorority of Sigma Gamma Rho. So she already had speaking commitments, and she wanted to try. And also, she's running for fucking president of the United States, and they just gave her she's the top on the ticket just last week. It's a lot going on for her. So for them to not accommodate her. And and I don't know if they felt like she was big timing them or what, but yo, man, the lady got a lot going on. I mean, yeah, this dude, y'all didn't even think he was going. He been giving y'all the cold shoulder for 5, 6, 7 years already. The fact that he even showed up is a surprise to everybody. But for y'all to not try to accommodate, and the only reason why NABJ tried to accommodate Kamala Harris later with Zoom and everything else, it was only after people got wind of that shit and they were getting shit because of it. They were getting shit because of whoa, what y'all doing? What are y'all doing? So you got that going on.
And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or.
Now here's him just shitting on black people in particular. You niggas couldn't even get y'all equipment together. Y'all got me out here late, right? You niggas out here running on CP time, right? Meanwhile, what we found out later is that the reason why Donald Trump was late was because he didn't want them fact checking him in real time. This is the thing, right? This is a constant thing with him. And I'm surprised that at this point, no one, I'm sure those of us in the sane world already know this dude lies constantly. I don't know anybody who was telling the truth would be upset at the idea of fact checking. I don't know anybody who knows that they're being truthful. As a matter of fact, I run into this a lot. Like, say, for instance, we having a debate at work, right? We having a debate at work. And we might be arguing about something, we might be going back. It might be some sports shit, right? It might be some sports shit. We arguing about some sports shit at the job. And, you thinking about, who had the better, season, in the NBA back in 1993 or whatever, who was the scoring champion, yada, 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 right? I don't know anybody who in that debate, whether you be right or whether you be wrong, would be upset with you. Like, hey man, we'll just Google this shit and we're going to find out what the truth is. We're going to find out what the answer to that, to this thing that got us going back and forth. We're going to find out what the real answer is. That is live fact checking, right? I don't know anybody who's upset at live fact checking other than the motherfucker lying through his goddamn teeth. And so the fact that Donald Trump constantly, when he's out in public, whether it be a debate, whether it be anything, is upset at the prospect of people checking the shit that he says to make sure it's true or not. I can't understand people who would vote for a motherfucker who hates when y'all figure out if he's telling the truth or not. I don't understand them type of folk, man. I just don't. So the reason why this motherfucker was late was because he was upset that they wanted to live fact check him. That's the reason why this motherfucker was late. But he's blaming it on black people. CP time. Y'all not having y'all shit together. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer
very
the question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. Let me
just ask a follow-on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me.
Okay, so here's another thing. If you watch the debates against Joe Biden back in 2020, he did this exact same thing when they asked him to denounce any white supremacists or hate groups that were supporting him, right? You remember when he said to stand back and stand by to the Proud Boys, and he was asking, they asked him to denounce, white supremacists, and he was like, well, what are you talking about? What white supremacists? Give me a name, right? It's the exact same thing he's doing here. What do you mean? How do you define it? Like, nigga, it's in the motherfucking name. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's why she's like, yo, it's in the words. It's literally in the words. Like, so he doesn't have a real answer. He doesn't have a real answer, so he tries to flip it on the person asking him the question, as if they don't have an understanding of what it is exactly that they're asking him. He tries to flip the shit, and he's doing the exact same thing he did in that debate. He's doing that exact same thing now to the sister.
A definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not
He also actually donated to a Kamala Harris campaign years ago.
Directly, very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't.
So again, this goes back to what we were talking about last week, right? We talked about this last week. I've seen people subtly trying to question the blackness of Kamala Harris. As a matter of fact, as we look at this, there's a video underneath here. It says, "Do black people think Kamala Harris is really black? She's not like us." This is by someone called the Black Authority. No one has actually seen what the fuck the Black Authority even looks like. This nigga does his videos anonymously, right? Does their videos anonymously. Nobody knows what the fuck they look like. I need people to understand the amount of bullshit coming their way, right? There's a deluge of misinformation and disinformation coming your way. I need us to be cognizant and aware of the deluge of bullshit coming our way, man, and to be savvy enough to parse through the bullshit, right? We broke down like, yo, man, the woman is from Oakland, California. Her parents are of Indian and Jamaican descent. She went to a HBCU. Out of all the schools she had the choice to go to, she went to a black college. She pledged a historically black sorority. She was the first black district attorney in San Francisco, the first black attorney general in this in the state of California, the first black female senator from the state of California. The fact that nobody thought she was black is fucking blasphemous in and of itself. And to think that they playing in our fucking face right now, right? They're playing in our face. And so like he goes off and he does this shit here, and then we find out later it's a coordinated effort. And then the weird thing is, here's the proof that Kamala Harris isn't black. There was an AP, there was an Associated Press release where they identified Kamala Harris as the first black senator from state of California. Indian, because she's also Indian. She's biracial. She's both. But they leaned on that, and then they had a video of her with Mindy Kaling cooking, with Mindy Kaling, of course, being an Indian American. And Kamala Harris actually said, yeah, this is like, I understand, half of my family is Indian. So, but this is their smoking guns, right? But he came into a crowd. He came into a black audience and tried to define blackness to black people. And it's crazy enough to think that is sticking, but also it speaks volumes of the niggas. It speaks volumes of the niggas who also like are doing the mental gymnastics to act as though they don't understand what being biracial means. I implore you niggas, I implore you to look up Malcolm X's lineage, to look up Bob Marley's lineage, to look up Frederick Douglass's lineage, and come back to me and tell me you're now questioning their blackness because of what their lineage is. I implore you niggas to do it. I swear, I implore you niggas to do it. I know y'all not gonna do it. I know y'all not. But the rest of us, we really just like,
who are these niggas? We need to stay away from these niggas.
We need to stay away from you goofy motherfuckers, because y'all niggas is not, y'all not like us, for real. As much as the Black Authority or whomever the fuck the Black Authority is, you anonymous motherfucker, whoever the fuck you is, you not like us neither, nigga. How about that?
Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are. We had a great interview.
Yeah. Fuck this guy. But yeah, man. And Latoya has something else to say. Let me see what my sister Latoya is talking about. And she said, I just mean someone that wouldn't allow his ish without confronting him. Maybe not DL. Getting a black man on the panel should have been easy, right? It absolutely should have been. It absolutely should have been, right? And you think about some of the like I said, we talk about someone like a Roland Martin. I'm trying to think of someone else, a prominent black journalism. I'm thinking maybe Ed Gordon, someone like maybe Ed Gordon. I mean, I'm partial here, but he's retired now. But I'm thinking about a Detroit area journalist, my man Huel Perkins. I know a lot of you may not necessarily be familiar with Huel Perkins, but I think Huel Perkins would have been able to go up there and ask him some very pertinent, direct questions and get some answers. And that's not to say that these sisters. I'll say this. Rachel Scott, the sister who was asking him these questions, I think she did a very good job. I think she held his feet to the fire. She asked him very direct shit, and he was off his game from the very jump. And you can see he was off his game from the very jump because he wasn't expecting, well, he should have been expecting, but he tried to flip it on her because she asked him very direct questions. The other sister, I don't know her name right now, and I probably should have looked this up before I got on the air, but I think she asked him some very pertinent questions. The thing was, I think the foul was having someone like a Harris Faulkner up there as a security blanket for Donald Trump. Because we know that Harris Faulkner, who works for Fox News, who was a part of a news organization that had to pay $787 million because they were lying on behalf of Donald Trump to Dominion voting systems because they were promoting the false story about the election interference on behalf of Dominion and everything else. She represents a tainted news organization while he's calling Rachel Scott's ABC News fake news. The news organization that Harris Faulkner works for has paid a settlement up to almost $1 billion for lying to the people, right? So yeah, man, I just think that the initial idea of Trump being at NBJ, the initial idea of it, I don't have a problem with. The execution of Donald Trump being at NBJ and what it resulted in is what I do have a problem with, right? Because there should have been not only, and it's not just that, but also the NABJ's refusal to accommodate Kamala Harris in a way where she could have been a participant in NABJ this year. And their reticence to allow for her to participate in the way she would have been, able to, I think that just totally all right, man, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, really, what the fuck is NABJ doing? And I think it's harmed the reputation of NABJ to a large degree. Again, but like I said, I wasn't opposed to him showing up there. I thought if he was going to show up there, it should have been some people up there who was going to ask him the tough questions. And Rachel Scott, I believe, asked him some very direct and fair questions. And off top, he couldn't even handle the fair, direct ones. Imagine if somebody like a Roland Martin, who would have been able to cut his ass down right off top, would have been a part of that panel. I would have loved to see Roland Martin up on that stage. I would have loved to see someone like Ed Gordon on that stage. I would have loved to see someone like my man Huel Perkins. I used to watch Huel Perkins as a kid. Huel Perkins is an idol of mine. So yeah, man, yeah. He this was it turned to shit, man. It turned to shit, and it turned to shit quick. And again, this is like one of those things where I wouldn't necessarily say folks are jumping out of the window on this, other than Donald Trump. Donald Trump was definitely jumping out of the roof while he was at the NABJ. But yeah, man, we got that going on. That was crazy. That was absolutely nuts. But I appreciate you for writing in, sister. Thank you so much. Let's see what else we got here. Let me pull up another story here. Oh, yeah. So we got this other thing going on, right? So as Kamala Harris becomes the presumptive Democratic nominee for president of the United States, many people now, after they've taken the lead after black women had their Zoom call, and they got in formation, and they were out here raising money on behalf of Kamala Harris and her presidential campaign. And then the brothers got in line, and they were like, yo, man, we're going to win with black men. And then the brothers came on there, and they got their Zoom call, and then we raised up some money on behalf of Kamala Harris. And then the white women got in formation, and then the white women had their Zoom call, and then they raised some money for Kamala Harris. And then the white dudes got in formation, and then the white dudes had a Zoom call, and then they was going to raise some money for Kamala Harris. But I'll be goddamn. I'll be
a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
If Elon Musk didn't fucking suspend the account of the white dudes for Kamala Harris on Twitter. Man, this some bitch right here out here doing the most, man. He out here doing the most. So let me pull this story up, man, because this is actually kind of crazy, man. Let me do this here. Where is it? I know I got it somewhere. At least I thought I had it. Here we go. Yahoo News. There we go. So we get this out of Yahoo News. It says that Twitter suspends the white dudes for Harris account after they raised $4 million on behalf of Kamala Harris. It says the social media platform X, formerly Twitter, suspended a white dudes for Harris account following a fundraising video call that attracted nearly 200,000 supporters of Vice President Kamala Harris, Harris's run for the Oval Office. The account, Dudes for Harris, was suspended Monday night for violating X's rules due to a user report. Okay. According to a screenshot from Mike Nellis, one of the account's operators, as of Tuesday morning, Dudes for Harris was still suspended and permanently in read-only mode. We scared Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump so much tonight, they suspended our account and won't let us back in, Nellis wrote on his own X page, using the handles of X owner Elon Musk and the son of GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump. These guys are running scared of the success we've had tonight, but we're not going to quit. Celebrities like Jeff Bridges, Josh Groban, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Lance Bass, among others, joined the White Dudes for Harris fundraising call, which raised $4 million for Harris's Democratic campaign. On X, the White Dudes for Harris's account described itself as just a few dudes who support Kamala Harris. When Huffington Post asked for comment, X sent an automated reply, busy now, please check back later. Musk, who bought Twitter in 2022 and then renamed it X, was previously accused of silencing detractors after his platform suspended the accounts of several journalists who wrote critically about him. Their accounts were later reinstated. Musk calls himself a proponent of free speech, but X has sued organizations like Media Matters for America and the Center for Countering Digital Hate, which have studied X and prohibited and published reports about the social media site. The suit against the latter group has since been dismissed. Now, I'll say, as someone who no longer uses Twitter regularly anymore, one of the things I feel two ways about it, man. Like I appreciate that you know, like they go there and like they try to organize there, because so many people still, despite Elon Musk, despite him, still populate that site and still use that site. I'm wondering at some point I kind of wonder like why people continue to use it, considering like considering what the environment is there, right? When you like in much the same way that like, you know, it like how we used to view Facebook years ago when we knew, like, especially black activists and everything else, how we were being shadow banned, how we were being hit with violations of our user agreement because we said a certain thing, or because the algorithm doesn't necessarily understand how communities converse amongst each other. When we know that Elon Musk, when you're critical of things that Elon Musk is a proponent of, when you're critical of Elon Musk himself, when you know that what the politics of Elon Musk is and how he's re-platformed so many hateful people, how he's re-platformed so many like people who are diametrically opposed to who you are and what you represent. Oftentimes I don't struggle with it, but I do wonder, like I kind of wonder, like I do wonder sometimes still, like why so many folks are still like attached to that place, right? Considering what it has become over the years, right? Like what it has become since Elon Musk has taken ownership of it, I will say, right? And it's one of those things where I wonder like why we're still there when we do have alternatives to go to now. I could see if we didn't have any other place to go, but I think there's so many different alternatives and places for us to go where we shouldn't necessarily have to depend on that being the place. And that's not just folks just on social media, but like large media companies too, like some of our news organizations, like a lot of our journalists and everything else. There's still people who, despite Elon Musk being whom he is, decide that that's where they're gonna be, right? And I'm not like one of those people like that. I said this when I had my man Randolph Terrence here on the show. We were talking about like the difference between Threads and Twitter, and like there's the they're the folks on Threads who are very sanctimonious, very much sanctimonious about their choice to have left Twitter alone, and I'm over here like those people over there, they're still over there. Like it's a sanctimonious thing that they got going on over there, right? I'm not of that, but I know that like when it comes to some of my friends, I'd be like, yo, man, like I know that you don't really rock with that shit over there, so I also kind of wonder like why you still rocking with that shit over there. It's not so much that I'm mad at them. I just kind of wonder what's the thing keeping you there, right? That's the thing. What's the thing, despite all of the things that's going on with Twitter and Elon Musk's ownership of it? What's the thing keeping you there? I think that might be a poll question I'm gonna put up on this particular episode. But yeah, man. So he's suspended their account. I believe they may have gotten their account back. I don't know, because like I said, the only time I'm on Twitter now is like to just talk about love after lockup, because my love after lockup people are on Twitter. But no, like the idea that like this dude was supposedly like so heavy into the I'm a free speech absolutist, and yet when it comes to speech that he doesn't agree with, he's suspending accounts, he's getting rid of folks, he's banning these people, and it's like, yo, man, what the fuck, really, man? What the fuck, really? And I just kind of wonder at what point, what's going to be the breaking point with Twitter? Like when it comes to like a mass exodus, so to speak, when, basically Twitter has become true social for the mainstream, where, the people who would normally just be on Twitter, I'm sorry, but like true social, a lot of those folks are just started migrating back to Twitter, and they're paying to have their point of view amplified with their Twitter Blue subscriptions. Now, I remember I used to have a Twitter Blue subscription, but it was mostly because I wanted to be able to post in high definition video, and I wanted to like tweet longer, that sort of shit. I didn't give a fuck about no blue check mark or any of that. But like, Elon Musk has really like turned that site into shit. And so like I applaud y'all's fucking commitment to the Twitter streets. I do. I really do. But I also do wonder why so many people that I love and respect are still fucking with the Twitter, considering what it has become, right? So yeah, Elon Musk is out here banning the dudes for Twitter account because yeah, we know why. So we got that going on. Now another story we got here. Let's see. Oh yeah. So unfortunately, man, Cardi B is reportedly calling it quits with Offset, man.
Oh man, hate.
Hate to hear it, man. Hate to fucking hear it. So we get this story here. We get it out of balleralert.com. It says that Cardi B has reportedly filed for divorce from her estranged husband, Offset. The news is confirmed by her representative to Page Six. Although no additional details were shared, Cardi is reportedly seeking primary custody of their children, emphasizing that this time she's serious about the separation. An insider close to the situation revealed to Page Six that the decision wasn't primarily driven by recent rumors of infidelity. They've grown apart. That's what drove her to this decision more than anything else. The source said that's something she wants to do. Now, again, as someone who's married, you hate to hear it, man. Like you hate to hear of a breakup of a family. I would hope that they will, somehow find some peace in that relationship, man. It's just weird, like when we, we get this news in social media, and it's like, you know, people have the, you know, they pick teams such and such. It'd be weird, like when you don't know these people, the parasocial relationships and how people really glom on to these celebrities and what they wish for them and everything else. Ultimately, I just want them to be happy, and I want their kids to be happy. And if they were able to keep their family together, however that looks, I would be happy for them. I just want us to no longer have to be a part of this shit. I don't want to be a part of this shit no more. Like, I don't, like, keep their business to them, man. Like, it's none of our business. It is none of our fucking business, man. But unfortunately, man, because we are so addicted to celebrity culture, man, we feel like we're entitled to know the details of every fucking waking aspect of these people's lives. And it's like, yo, ultimately, we don't realize that, like, yo, these are strangers. These are strangers. We don't know them. They don't know us. As a matter of fact, the only connection that we have to them is the art that they've given us. That's it. And, you know, like, oftentimes you'll see people on social media talking about couples goals and all this other stuff. It's like, nah, man, you don't know these niggas. They don't know you. Stop making your goals about these niggas you see on TV whose lives you think is perfect and is probably not. It's probably not. So, yeah. Make quick work of that one. We got that going on. Another story that we got going on, man. So, Bad Baby. I don't know. Y'all remember, she was the, like, I that's her rap name. I just remember her as being a Catch Me Outside girl. You know what I'm saying? Catch Me Outside, how about that? You know, like, she was that girl. The little girl on, like, the little bad acting ass girl, the little fucking juvenile delinquent that was on fucking, on the Dr. Phil show, right? So, apparently, this girl that made, I hope you're sitting down, $57 million on OnlyFans.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn! God damn! What? Fuck!
Yeah, man. So we get this story here that comes out of Complex. Bad Baby says she's netted nearly $60 million through her OnlyFans account in just over 3 years. Last week, the Vibe Check artist shared a screenshot of her all-time earnings on the platform when she first joined in April of 2021. As is now common knowledge, Baby's page was an immediate hit, ultimately bringing in more than $1 million in its first 6 hours of availability.
Oh man! Hey!
The newly shared earnings breakdowns list Baby's total gross at more than $71 million, while her net earnings are showing to have topped $57 million. Of that $57 million, more than $32 million comes from direct messages alone. The 21-year-old is also standing at around $500,000 in tips and $24 million in subscriptions, which means you niggas couldn't wait till this girl turned 18.
I kill everybody up in this motherfucker.
You niggas are embarrassing, bruh. Niggas are embarrassing, B. Because come on, man. Like, think about this for a second. Like, this girl is 21 years old. Y'all wasn't in it for the music, man. Y'all couldn't wait for this girl to turn 18. So much so, because, again, it says it was her, like, 6 hours of availability. She made $1 million. You niggas was lusted after this girl before she was 18. Right? Now, ultimately, what's weird about this is that so many of y'all, I know a lot of niggas who like act as though they not paying for OnlyFans. It's too much free porn out here. It's too much free titties out here. It's too much. You niggas are paying for it. And I need y'all to stop acting like y'all not. It's they making way too much money, bro. If it wasn't money in the game, they wouldn't be doing it. You niggas are paying for pictures. You niggas are paying for, like, y'all are sending pictures to these girls and with your dicks out and shit and paying for them to rate your dicks. You niggas out here doing this shit. But then y'all get around the rest of us and act like y'all ain't. The money coming from somewhere. The money coming from somewhere, man. I ain't here to yuck your yum, right? But I'm just saying, man, $57 million. $57 million. $57 million. I don't want to hear niggas say they ain't got money ever again. I don't want to hear motherfuckers say they ain't got no money ever again. Don't talk to me about inflation if Bad Baby is out here making $57 million just being a naked young lady. Don't talk to me about how bad eggs cost. Don't talk to me about how much it costs to put gas in your car. I ain't trying to hear it, bruh. Y'all out here y'all done dropped $57 million on this girl to show her titties, man. I ain't trying to hear it. I ain't trying to hear it, man. You niggas got money. Y'all spend money on the shit y'all value. You niggas got money. I ain't trying to hear nothing else. Straight up, man. Straight up.
Who are these niggas? We need to stay away from these niggas.
Not only do we need to stay away from these niggas, but also...
Makes me sick, motherfucker, how far we done fell.
We done failed, nigga. We done fucking failed. Oh, my God. We got that going on. Bad Baby made $57 fucking million. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Another story, though, that we got going on. This is another story here that made me question why everybody was like just jumping out of the window. Just jumping out there, motherfucker, like Superman. Like they could actually float and fly and shit. So there was a story of, we got the Olympics going on, man. And, honestly, man, like, I used to love the Olympics. I really did, man. I used to watch, like, the opening ceremonies and, like, the whole pageantry of that shit used to have me enthralled, man. Like, I used to be into, like, the track and field, the gymnastics, like, back in the day, like, there used to be this thing that they used to do with the gymnastics where they would, even if you weren't necessarily watching, a particular event, they would take you to that event. Like if somebody fell and bust their ass, they'd be like, huge deduction. There was a fall on the balance beam. And then they would show you the balance beam and then like somebody falling on that bitch, like huge deduction there. That sort of shit. They would always like go over to somebody fucking up. It was crazy like back in the 90s and 80s and shit, right? But this story here really just kind of like jumped out on everybody, man. And I'm appalled by how many people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about jumped out the window and had so much to say about this Algerian boxer by the name of Imani Khalif. All right, so we get the story here. This comes out of the Associated Press. It says Imani Khalif of Algeria won her opening Olympic boxing bout Thursday when her opponent Angela Carini of Italy quit after just 46 seconds. Khalif was disqualified from the 2023 World Championships after failing an unspecified gender eligibility test, and her presence at the Paris Olympics has become a divisive issue. Karina and Khalif exchanged only a few punches before Karina walked away and abandoned the bout, an extremely unusual occurrence in Olympic boxing. Karini's headgear apparently became dislodged at least once before she quit. Carini didn't shake Khalif's hand after the decision was announced, but cried in the ring on her knees. Afterwards, a still tear for Carini says she quit because of the intense pain in her nose after the opening punches. Carini, who had a spot of blood on her trunks, says she wasn't making a political statement and was not refusing to fight Khalif. I felt a severe pain in my nose, and with the maturity of a boxer, I said enough because I didn't want to. I couldn't finish the match. Carini further says she is not qualified to decide whether Khalif should be allowed to compete, but she had no problem fighting her. Now, here's the thing. Here's a sentence that's doing a lot of work for a lot of bigots, right? It's the one. Let me go back and see where can I find it. Here we go. Khalif was disqualified from the 2023 World Championships after failing an unspecified gender eligibility test, and her presence at the Paris Olympics has become a divisive issue. That is the sentence that's doing a lot of work, right? And people just jumped out the window and said that like, yo, she failed a gender test. And so that's a man. That's a man out there fighting the women. And we don't need men out there fighting women in the Olympics. It's unfair. Here's the rub, though. Imani Khalif was born a woman.
Nigga!
Karine wasn't fighting a man. She was fighting another woman. And so many people, again, I want us to pay attention. So many people jumped out on this as though there was a trans woman fighting a woman in an Olympic competition, and the Olympic competition allowed for this to happen, where this man was beating up on this woman in order to allow them to medal. And this is why we have to protect women against trans people participating in women's sports, right? This has been a constant thing happening in the United States for quite some time. We've talked about it ad nauseum here on the Spann Report podcast and the Spann Official podcast, both, right? How they are trying to make this a thing that isn't actually happening. Now, again, you would hope that people, once they figure out, oh shit, I got that wrong, I misspoke, I didn't have all the facts, that they would go back and they would retract statements. But niggas are too prideful to do that. There's a lot of people who are too prideful to do that. They would much rather just hold on to the idea that trans women should not be able to compete, despite the fact that there wasn't a trans woman involved in this at all. At all. So much so that we've got we had Pat McAfee of ESPN. Pat McAfee makes false gender claims on Algerian boxer, and he admits that he hadn't done enough research. So we read this. This comes out of awfulannouncing.com. On Thursday, the social media world erupted with discussion around Algerian women boxer Imani Khalif that started after her opening round opponent, Angela Carini of Italy, withdrew after 46 seconds. Carini said afterwards she wasn't making a political yada yada. But everyone from Italian premier Giorgia Meloni to novelist and anti-transgender activist J.K. Rowling weighed in afterwards with false claims like genetically male and male about Khalif. That led to social media blowing up with arguments over this. And that led to Pat McAfee spending 5+ minutes discussing it on his Pat McAfee show on ESPN and YouTube. There, he specifically made the false claim that Khalif was deemed a male. She was fucking not. And discuss her having a potentially male body. He also spent a lot of time discussing transgender people and athletes. Khalif was assigned as a woman at birth and has not discussed being transgender. Here's the full clip, which runs almost 6 minutes. Now, let me see. I'm not going to play that full clip, but I do want to hear what this motherfucker was saying. So let me see if I can pull this video so we can watch as a family here. Are they not going to allow me to view the original? Let's see. Okay.
I haven't done enough.
So check this out. Let me pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your boy. Hold on just a second while I do this here. Because we're getting this now from Twitter. So let's do that. And all right, here we go. Let's see what the fuck this dude is talking about.
Enough research. I saw that the International Boxing Association deemed a couple of the boxers that are in the Olympics, still in the Olympics, not eligible to box in women's boxing because they had too much testosterone or they were deemed a male, I believe, from XY chromosome, from the research that I've done. So now we're watching the Olympics and this Italian girl.
He said from the research that he done, but he prefaced this shit by saying, I haven't done enough research on this shit. But that did not stop him. Did not stop him from going forward with whatever the fuck the rest of his shit is going on.
Has made it. She's boxing, committed her whole life to boxing. Committed her whole life, this girl. Her dad passed away, I do believe.
Yeah, very recently.
Very recently. I assume her and her dad I assume this is a big story. And then all of a sudden she finds herself in the Olympics moving forward and she has to fight somebody from Algeria who has been banned from other competitions because not woman enough to compete, and then 46 seconds into her Olympic fight with this woman from Algeria, basically taps out broken nose. Then afterwards she cries and she's like, I've never been punched that hard in my life. And it's like, for me, I know this conversation has been happening for a few years. I just don't understand how we got to this point. And I am coming from a very empathetic point of view as well, because as we all kind of learned about the transgender situation that was happening for people, I think we're all incredibly bummed that that would be terrible if you're.
But here's the thing. As he's talking about transgender athletes, there isn't a transgender athlete in this equation. Not at all. They are both biologically women. And this is the danger of having these conversations with people who don't even want to do the basic, who don't even want to try to understand what it means to be trans, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a man, whatever. And this is why I said some time ago, our line of thinking a lot of times hinders us, right? And the science doesn't stop evolving just because we stop learning. Oftentimes people get comfortable with the knowledge they obtain up to that point, and then they just stop learning altogether. It doesn't help you to stop learning once you got out of school. You have to be a lifelong learner, right? And you stopping and just being comfortable with what you learn in school and that's it, as if science stops because you stopped learning science, that's bullshit. There are scientific breakthroughs that are happening every day. Our understanding of things that are happening in our world changes every day because we now have more information. We have a better understanding of things, right? Unfortunately, in a situation like this, you got a bunch of people who aren't even curious to try to understand, not even so much because you want to be, but just try to understand and be more empathetic towards these people because you don't know what you're talking about, right? To try to learn more about what their plight is, to learn more or understand why they are, how they became who they became, to try to understand and learn that and embrace it and become a more well-refined human being. Because you're open to learning about other people and their experiences and their life. We get to a point where we start making villains of these people because we don't understand them, right? So you got Pat McAfee talking about transgenderism and everything else on a national audience where he's in front of millions of people and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Does not know what the fuck he's talking about. But he's got an audience of millions. And they too, no curiosity to find out more about what this story entails. We go by headlines and vibes, man. Headlines and vibes. That's a problem. And so many people jumped out the window not knowing that they was out on some bullshit. Talking about it shouldn't be a man fighting a woman at the Olympics. Not knowing that there was not a man fighting a woman at the Olympics. And then if you point it out to them, now they mad at you for pointing it out to them. Trust me, I know. I went through this shit this week. That's not a man. That is a false story you are propagating. You probably should take this shit down. Oh, so you must like beating on bitches. Bitch, what? I've had that happen to me this week. I've had that happen, man. So many people jumping out the fucking window. Wrong as shit. Not even doing the basic fucking bare minimum of, hey, man, maybe I should look more into this before I start speaking so definitively on that. And then when they get it wrong, not being man or woman enough to say, hey, I got that wrong. My apologies, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I should have taken that down, or I shouldn't have said that. I didn't have enough information. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, but it goes even further than this. It goes even further than this. So let me do this here, because he's not the only one who stepped out. Who stepped out and jumped out that window, right? Now, we expect people like, we expect people like Pat McAfee kind of comes across as a meathead. We kind of expect that sort of shit. But also, like, we got congressional motherfuckers out here jumping out the fucking window. So, I mean, she's not the brightest motherfucking bulb in the box, but Congresswoman Lauren Boebert was out here raising money for the woman. Hold on, let me make sure I read this right. We get this out of Fox News, so take it with a grain of salt. Lauren Boebert raising gold level prize money for female Olympic athlete bested by a boxer barred from women's events. This is how Fox News promoted this particular story. Boebert raising gold level prize money for female Olympic athlete bested by a boxer who was barred from women events. Exclusive. Representative Lauren Boebert is seeking to raise the equivalent of a gold medal for an Olympic athlete who was defeated by an opponent who previously failed gender eligibility tests. How many of y'all have even asked what a gender eligibility test even consists of?
Not never.
When have y'all asked what that consists of? Italian boxer Angela Carini competed in the 66 kilogram women's division Olympic boxing match. We know she lost in 46 seconds. She left the match against Algerian boxer Imani Khalif in tears, saying, "I didn't give up, but one punch hurt too much, and I said enough. Enough is enough," Boebert told Fox News Digital as she launches her Give, Send, Go effort to raise $196,000 for Carini, when Italy pays their Olympic athletes for a gold medal. It's really unfortunate when women who have competed since they were little girls, trained since they were little girls, and are forced to compete against a mediocre male athlete. Again, Khalif isn't a male athlete. Boebert said in an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, "I believe that Angela deserves better. She worked in her entire life to reach the very top of her sport, and my heart goes out to her today. It was really devastating." Boebert pointed to International Boxing Association President Umar Kremlin, who admitted that Khalif was disqualified during the 2023 World Championships after failing to meet gender eligibility standards. Based on DNA tests, we identified a number of athletes who tried to trick their colleagues into posing as women. According to the results of the test, it was proven that they have XY chromosomes. Such athletes were excluded from competition, Kremlin said. Now, interestingly enough, what they don't account for are hormonal imbalances in these athletes. Also, what they don't account for is where Khalif actually comes from. She's from Algeria. And if you know anything about Algeria, you know that Algeria is very antagonistic towards the LGBTQ community. So much so that you could be jailed for being gay in Algeria. So imagine someone who can be jailed simply for being gay in Algeria, trying to compete and represent the country of Algeria in the Olympics as a trans person. Think about that. It does not fucking make sense, but we're not going to allow sense to be, the impediment to a good story or a good lie. Said no Republican ever. Right? But folks were jumping out of the window on this, man. Boebert added that in allowing Khalif to compete, the Olympics gave the green light that it is okay for men to compete even in physical competition to the point where they are hitting women, and that is not okay. Now, again, of course, like I said, we don't think that Lauren Boebert is a smart individual at all. But I would hope that anybody who's listening to the sound of my voice will recognize how ridiculous that this shit is. And also, I would hope that if you're listening to the sound of my voice, that you too don't also ascribe to the belief that a woman shouldn't also be able to compete against a woman in the Olympics. Because here's what basically happened. And we're gonna drop this where it is. One woman was competing against another woman in the Olympics, was getting her ass whooped, and decided to quit in the Olympics. That's it. That's all. And if you think it's anything else,
shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Damn.
Enough. Boy, I've been sick to my fucking stomach watching you imbeciles type things. Stop typing. You niggas are stupid.
Like dead ass, man. Dead ass, man. Real talk. It's been that fucking crazy, man. Watching people talk about this particular story, especially when you know that they didn't even do the bare minimum of reading past the fucking headline. You could tell, man. You can always tell they never read past the headline, man. So you got that going on, man. But I'm sorry, but the Algerian boxer has now at least secured herself a medal. She's going to at least get a bronze medal. And I would hope that she wins the gold just to piss off these stupid motherfuckers who would misgender her simply because an Italian boxer decided to quit doing their bout. Real talk, man. So we got that going on. Now, before we get on up out of here, though, we got another Olympic story. But this one here is a little bit more lighthearted. This one here, a little bit more lighthearted, man. So apparently, there's a French pole vaulter, man. Now, y'all know the games are being held in Paris. And we know that Paris is a city of lovers and shit like that. Well, apparently this man ain't gonna have no motherfucking problem finding lovers ever again in his life, nigga. Because this dude's dick got in the way of him winning an Olympic medal at the Olympic Games. Hey, man, this nigga gonna be able to tell this story for the rest of his life. Yeah, I could have won a gold medal, but my dick just got in the way. So we get this story here. We get this story here. This comes out of Variety.com. It says, aside from Leon Marchand, who clinched his fourth swimming medal, swimming gold medal yesterday, another French athlete, 21-year-old Paul vaulter, Anthony Amirati, has become an instant viral phenomenon after an incident involving his crotch. Amirati missed his target height and knocked down the pole with his bulge, which caused him to fail his qualifying track for the final. The scene left commentators scrambling to find words, but it quickly sparked memes and jokes all over social media. When you're about to win an Olympic medal, but your massive dick gets in the way while the whole world watches in slow motion. Oh, shit. Story of my life. Oh, man. This is why social media has been flooded with jokes over Amirati's crotch. Oh, man, French outlets are highlighting the unfortunate twist of fate for Amirati, who won't have another chance to compete for a medal and has exited the Olympics along with other French pole vaulters. But the viral scene is providing needed comedic relief amid a series of controversies surrounding these Olympics, which have seen several people, including the event's artistic director, Thomas Jolly, and Algerian boxer Imani Khalif, victim of online hate speech. I would pull up the video, but I'm not about to pull up that video. Look at that man's junk. But can you imagine, bro, like telling your grandkids, yeah, you know, granddaddy was out there participating in the Olympics, you know. Well, then what happened? Well, you know, I was out there vaulting with the wrong pole, baby. That's what happened. I was vaulting with the wrong pole. Oh, shit, man. But that happened. Pole vaulter couldn't make it over the bar because his dick pulled the bar down. That is absolutely hilarious. I know Republicans out here losing their fucking shit behind the fact that this man's dick pulled down the pole, man. It's crazy. It is crazy. But yo, man, that is all. That is it, and that is all, man. It is about time for me to get on up out of here. But of course, fam, before we get out of here, I gotta let you guys know how to get in touch with us over here at the Mrs. Spann Official Podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit us up at our hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages. Those messages will get played here and responded to here live on the show. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails, and of course, those emails will get right here and reply to here live as well. Follow me on Threads and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr. _Spence. Go ahead, follow follow me there throughout the week. Also, if you're a Love at the Lockup fan, follow me on Twitter if y'all still over there on Twitter, because that seems to be where all my Love at the Lockup fans are. But like, you Mr. _ Spann over there as well. So we could talk about our Love at the Lockup, shit, because it's been crazy. If you watch the last 2 episodes of this shit, it's been crazy. Real talk. Also, man, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Spotify, man. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get right here live on the show. We appreciate everybody who does that. Doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety. Also, if you're watching us via YouTube, man, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us a thumbs up on the YouTube channel. Comment on the YouTube channel. We really appreciate those of you who do that, and we will incorporate your comments here on the show if it's if it's pertinent to the conversation. You know what I'm saying? We will incorporate those, but we really appreciate everybody who does that. It doesn't cost you a dime also, man. Like, it's just one way to put down for what we got going on. It doesn't cost you nothing. But if you do want to spend some money, you can go to our store, man. We got a Spann Report Podcast Network store over at TeePublic. We will have the link in the show notes, man. You can go over there, copy yourself a t-shirt or a coffee mug or a mouse pad or whatever else it is you into. We got stickers too, but you can go over there and you can copy yourself some merch, and we really appreciate everybody who helps us in that way, man. And yeah, that does cost you money, but like, we really appreciate those of you who would invest in us in that way, man. Real talk. But it is about time for me to get on up out of here. I will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.